Hello, everyone, and welcome to the Blind Angler and the very first Blind Angler podcast, or as I may start calling it, rodcast. Casting us off today is Brian Pask from Hastings, and Brian is a volunteer at the Angling Trust. He is a coach, casting instructor, and does a little bit of rod building on the side. Brian, thank you very much for joining us today. How are you?
Oh, I'm very well, thank you. Yeah, my pleasure to be here. I do a bit of work in an office as well.
Busy boy, though.
In total, I've got about 4 jobs. Yeah, so I keep me busy.
Crikey. So Brian, obviously, I've mentioned a few things there that you do in regards to the fishing community, the fishing world. But I just want to start off with really, when did you start fishing? Like, what age were you, and who are the people that influenced you to pick up a rod and reel?
Yeah, I think I've been racking my brains to work out exactly when it was, but it was around about 1969, 1970, which will give you a clue to my age, really, I suppose. And I was just about going into secondary school, and I can't remember why, but I nagged one of the lads at school to take me fishing because I'd never done it before. Family had never done it. And he took me out. We walked along an old abandoned railway line that went out to a little village nearby where there was a river. And we went out there and fished in one of the little tributaries of the river. And I caught a little roach. And as the old adage goes, I was hooked. Yeah, it's quite something. But yeah, that's been in excess of 50 years of doing this now.
Wow.
Still looking to catch my second fish.
So you started off with fresh water and then across to the sea fishing?
Yeah, I went probably about a year or so later. And one of the lads from school's dad, a gentleman by the name of Jim Hearn. Right. We were all living in Bexhill, which is a little town just about 5 miles from Hastings. And Jim Hearn managed to persuade the school to allow quite a few of us to go down to the sea angling club to try sea angling for the first time. That was around about 1970, 71. And from that one venture sparked the very first youth angling club at Bexhill Sea Angling Club. Jim was a massive influence on me at that time. As a young person, he taught me an awful lot about sea fishing. And if the truth be known, he was one of the reasons that I started coaching as well some years later.
Yeah, I was going to say, because now you are a coach, and how long have you been coaching for?
Yeah, I think it's been sort of around about 8 or 9 years now. I was actually a committee member at that same angling club.
Yeah.
We sat around the table one night, and it was blindingly obvious that there were very, very few young anglers coming through into sea angling within our club. And the club was not far short of celebrating its 100-year anniversary.
Crikey.
And one or two of us had this fantastic idea of setting up a youth club, as you do, having no idea of exactly how we were going to go about it. But there was one or two doubters that, we've done it all before, the kids won't come out, they've all got computers, that's what they do all day. But somewhat undeterred, we decided we'd go for it anyway. What we actually did was we started getting the club set up and started finding out about how to go about getting properly qualified to do what we wanted to do. Now, that took some while, but in the meantime, to set the club itself up, we actually went about advertising in places where young people might go, but not if they're already fishing, they're going to go to your tackle shop, they're going to know about us. Yeah. So we started advertising in places where their parents might pick stuff up as well, like supermarkets. A few pubs and clubs took some of the posters for us as well. And I was delighted when we had about 10 kids turn up on the first evening. Absolutely
Wow.
did. And one of the sort of draws was that we supplied everything. And we were going to charge, I think at the time, it was £2.50 a night.
Yeah.
And we literally supplied all the fishing tackle, all the bait, and some expertise, allegedly, from some of the guys that were going to do some of the coaching. And we were spectacularly successful, is probably the best way of putting it, to be honest, because after, I think it was 2 years, we had 34 people on the beach every week.
Wow.
And that included not just our youngsters that were aged up to 18, but we had their parents and grandparents coming along as well.
Yeah.
And that was part of the initial dream, was getting families out fishing together. And we succeeded. You know, it was a bit of a pie in the sky dream, but it actually succeeded. So we were absolutely delighted. I don't actually work out of Bexhill Club anymore. I've come over to East Hastings, which is a bit nearer for me.
Yeah.
And we were supposed to start the club at March last year, but obviously a little virus got in the way.
Indeed, yeah.
So we eventually managed to get started in September, and then curtailed that again in October. The same little virus was still playing around.
Yeah.
And we've literally started again 3 or 4 weeks ago. And so far we have 8 to 9 young people down there on a Wednesday evening down at Hastings, East Hastings Angling Club. And the kids are having a ball. They're loving what we're doing.
It's been a bit stop-start type.
It's been a bit stop-start. Hopefully now we can continue, because we know we can build on what we've got to start with. We've got 4 qualified coaches down there, which is brilliant. What we've actually done, not only with Bexhill but with Hastings as well, is that all the coaches have gone through Angling Trust qualifying. There's 2 levels, level 1, level 2.
Yes.
And to get to level 2, you've also got to do child protection courses, first aid courses, and of course every coach has to be DBS checked as well.
Yes.
And then those licenses up to date, which we do. So we try to run it safely and sensibly for the young people in our care and ourselves as well. And we've got all those licenses in place to ensure that the parents have got some knowledge that we've got an idea about what we're doing, and that their children are safe with us. And we've been lucky so far in that we've had no incidents whatsoever, other than the kids having a lot of fun, which is always the best thing, isn't it?
Absolutely.
The nice thing we actually do with, as I say, Hastings is run on the same lines as we did Bexhill. We supply absolutely everything. And the good news is, obviously, when the young people are old enough and want to start looking at getting kit for themselves, we're happy to go down the shops with them, and their parents, obviously, to advise them on the best stuff for them. Which is never easy as a developing young person. You're obviously going to get bigger and stronger as time goes on. So we sort of try and find something they can use now and that they can use into the future.
No, that's lovely. So would you say that your main clientele for being a coach is the youth, the younger generation, or?
That's quite interesting, because over the years, the youngest I've coached is age 6.
Okay.
And the oldest was 92.
Crikey.
He's a lovely old gentleman. He'd done a bit of fishing several years previous, and the guy who he used to go out fishing with at that time was unable to do it anymore. So he got in touch with me by letter. I don't know if you remember those. But we did actually meet up, and regrettably, it was the last time he was able to do it. He did realise that he just couldn't get out onto the shingle any longer. But he enjoyed his day. And he realised that would have been his last one, but I thoroughly enjoyed his company, and it was good fun. But I think I did take a gentleman out last year. I was his 70th birthday present.
Wow! So, wow!
Even my wife doesn't want me as a birthday present, so I don't know. But yeah. I do a lot of work with the clubs, and that is mainly aimed at the youth, and trying to get them into sea fishing in particular. but I do a lot of private coaching, which tends to be all ages. And I do set up some casting sessions, which tends to be the older people as well, more adults, where they're either trying to improve casting or a lot of people recently moving into pendulum casting.
Yes.
So yeah, I've been doing quite a few of those, and a lot of that's been through different Facebook groups. So I think, you know, where there's been a lot of change, I think, where a lot of people used to go and join clubs, it now tends to be Facebook groups more than clubs, and they're getting a lot of information through those. So yeah, that's sort of an interesting little change, and I've sort of had to sort of run with that if I want to keep up with what's going on and get people on board. You know, you've got to go with what's the flavour at the time. So yeah.
Yeah, I mean, I was going to ask you because of the like when I started fishing, you know, I was 4 years old, going out of a Saturday night with my dad, and really the only thing at home that was going to keep me home was my toys. Being a young boy, it was my toys, or you know, Saturday night TV. I wasn't interested in at that age, although it was better then than it is now. But with the youth side of things, and maybe the next generation coming through, do you see it being a difficult trying to get them into fishing because of social media, the computer games that's now available online, and there's so much distraction? Yeah. Do you see?
Yeah.
Have you noticed it yourself that you've done for so long? Have you noticed it?
Yeah, I think there is much more available for people to do these than when we started. Yeah, I mean, I was out as a young lad, either fishing or playing football or cricket. You know, that was basically my life as a youth. And it's only stopped recently. No, that, but I just do the fishing. I can't do the football anymore. Yeah, I think that there are those issues, but when we're doing, certainly with the club stuff and the younger people, I tend to make the sessions fairly short, 2 to 3 hours.
Yeah.
And the one thing I insist on is people turning up and having some fun.
That's very
and I genuinely think that if you can inject some fun into it, regardless, yeah, it's brilliant. When we can catch, that makes a massive difference.
It does.
But if you can make it fun, that means an awful lot. And to do that, we don't just do the fishing side of it. With the kids, we get them out rock pooling. We do some LR stuff with them for the smaller species. We take them out lug digging or pumping, which is great. Yeah, it's fantastic because it supplies me with bait. But there's more to, and I love doing a lot of work around the marine ecology as well. I think the kids are far more switched on with trying to make cleaner waters than we ever were.
Yes.
And I learn a lot from them in that respect as well. And the kids, bless them, if the fishing's slow, they often organise themselves into a beach clean. You know, they don't need me to do that. They do it for themselves. And I think that's brilliant. That's, you know, that's down to how they've been taught, whether it be at school or at home.
Yeah.
And I think there's a massive push from all of us. And certainly anglers are in the forefront of that as well. And to see the youth doing that without any prompting makes me very proud of the kids that I work with.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, the beach cleanups at the moment are massive, and long may it continue.
Absolutely.
You know, I do worry about the staycation that we're in at the moment, that the beaches are going to get hit by maybe not anglers and people that maybe tend to visit the beaches so much and not have the same kind of level of care that we have but you know, fingers crossed, you know, that can move forward, and we can keep the beaches nice and clean and
absolutely safe. It's safe for everybody. Yeah, absolutely.
Yeah,
there's more, you know, there's more to the seafront than just anglers. I know you're very acutely aware of that. You know, there's so we need to, as anglers, we need to keep our own areas clean and safe as well for other people to use.
Yeah, absolutely. So when you've got like someone new to fishing, what's a main, like a normal session, like a first session, like when they haven't ever
I want to get them fishing. I want to get them fishing as soon as possible. So if it's individuals or small groups, I will start off with casting.
Yeah.
And that's often with a tennis ball or something similar.
Okay.
It's such a visual aid.
Mm.
And you can really, everyone else can see, what's going on. And I've genuinely found that people improve quite quickly using a tennis ball and then switching over to a lead weight, because the aerodynamics involved. A lead weight's obviously going to travel further. So if they can get a tennis ball 25, 30 yards, a lead weight's going to go 40 to 50 with the same amount of effort. And switching from one to another quite quickly really boosts people's confidence. And I find that quite a key thing to people's casting. The biggest question I get is, but don't you have to throw it out miles to get fish? And the best answer I can ever give is an old school friend of mine who's got the record at Bexhill Sea Angling Club for the biggest bass, which was 11 pound 4.
Wow.
Which, I mean, he won't mind me saying, it was caught at low tide with a cast that went horribly wrong and plopped about 25, 30 yards out. And he sorted the reel out, as you do, got rid of the bird's nest, decided it was going to stay where it was for 5 minutes while he had a coffee, and the rod buckled. And he, luckily he'd got the tangle sorted out, and he brought in this beast. Now 25 to 30 meters out, it's just about enough water to cover its back. Yeah. But it really, really brings home, that you can catch fish at very, very short range. And even when I'm doing my casting lessons, that's one of the things I'm real into people is it's great to have that in your armory to be able to throw it out a long way, but try and find the fish and find out where they are is a lot better. Yeah. So with that in mind, when we're starting off with people, it's trying to instill in them that the distance isn't really that relevant. It's finding the right place at the right time.
Yes.
And I do a lot of work around talking to people about that, because what you don't want people is to go away after you've given them a few lessons with a little bit of confidence and then not catching anything and wondering what they're doing wrong. So giving them the ideas and the skills to be able to work out where to go and when to go is quite key. So yeah, we go from casting into why we use. I mean, I'm a great user of 2-hook flappers.
Yes. Yeah.
Down our way, lugworm is king. That accounts for 90% of the baits that get used, therefore probably in excess of 90% of the fish that get caught. So it's about bait preparation on a 2-hook flapper, and just getting out in the water and getting a few bites and instilling that enthusiasm that I've still got after all these years. I'm lucky enough, seeing somebody catching a fish for the first time takes me back to when I was 11 and 12. And that's the thrill that I got then. And I get to see that on a regular basis, which is probably what keeps me going. I think, I absolutely love it. And when I've got one or two of my clients at the moment are after specific species as well.
Okay.
So we are sort of doing a little bit on species hunting. It tends to be bass and smoothhounds. Yeah. But to see them doing what they've set out to do and achieving that target it still gives you that thrill. It still does. So from a starting position, it's getting them to be able to cast and to bait up and having that confidence in what they're doing.
Yes. Yeah.
And I was lucky enough. I was out with a gentleman on Friday evening, right? And he messaged me again on Sunday morning. He sneaked out on his own and sneaked out a nice, decent flounder. He was absolutely gutted. He did report that about 11 o'clock in the morning, all his bait started disappearing off the hooks. So he knew what it was, because that's what we had Friday night: spider crabs.
Yes, yes. I had a couple of weeks back a few spider crabs, which.
He'd gone from thinking he was doing something wrong to knowing what was all his bait, and it gave him that. Well, it's time to pack up, because that's all that's going to happen, and he'll come back another day when the fish are biting better.
Wow, that's incredible. And when you're saying about using the 2-hook flappers and so on, do you guys teach the use or the beginners, should I say, how to make the rigs up, the 2-hook flappers.
Very much so. Yeah.
Yeah.
I've actually had rigs tied up by 6-year-olds with knots I'd be proud of.
Very
which,
good.
I like getting, especially with the club, the kids at the club, because we provide everything. So I get them making their own rigs, and for them to catch something on something they've made, they just absolutely thrilled by the prospect of A, doing it, and B, actually, the actuality of catching a fish on a rig they built. I've seen the rigs go home and never come back again as well. So I have to warn the parents. I have no idea where they get to.
Yeah, Zachary being 7 years old now, the main thing I taught him was casting then knots and then moving on to making rigs, and to see him make a rig and then go out and actually catch on it. The sense of achievement I get, but what he gets, the buzz, the thrill is
very much so, Wayne. I think I get more excited than the kids, if the truth be known.
Yeah. No, that's, and I like the fact that you teach them how to find their own bait and so on. So say not everybody's blessed with a whole lot of money, especially with the pandemic going on at the moment. Whereas if they wanted to go out and do some fishing and they've got the bits and pieces, if they can go and find their own bait, which is something that I would have never thought of, if I'm honest. They can go out and get their own bait and they're away.
No, we've been lucky enough over the years. We've been very successful, and it's not just me. There's always a team there as well. Whether it's at Bexhill or at Hastings with the clubs, there are other people there that without them you couldn't do what you do. And there's any credit has got to be spread amongst every single one of them. That includes the parents as well. Because if the parents don't bring the kids down, then it's not going to happen. But Bexhill in particular, and as I say, Hastings, we've only just started, but Bexhill in particular, we've had 2 lads that were very, very competitive and went on to fish for England in the home internationals, and both won gold medals, which was, we were super proud of both the lads. I think they get to an age then, sort of 18, 19, and they find alcohol and young ladies and seem to stop fishing for a while. But I'm sure
they've had enough of them and then they're back out again.
They'll be back fishing again, absolutely. No, that's not my life story necessarily, but it's close.
Absolutely. No, I think that's really wonderful, and what an achievement going on to fish for England as well. That just shows
it was a very, very proud of the boys, and the effort that they put into it was, and the parents as well, because there's an awful lot of travelling. There's an awful lot of costs which they have to find for themselves as well. We were extremely proud of them, especially, one of them in particular, he was 16 and fishing in the under 21s. Wow. So he was a step, he was in the grade above, or the age group above, and still did well. And he actually went to the World Championships the year later. He was actually the first junior ever to win Bexhill Sea Angling Club's beach trophy at the end of the year for the most points. Wow. And he won it by a distance. His dedication to what he was doing was impressive.
Especially at that age as well, with like we said before, the amount of social media and gaming that's available, the distractions, I suppose. That's incredible, and well done to the parents for still wanting to bring them out instead of just. I suppose very much. So. Could be quite easy to like, there's your computer and
you guys babysitting, isn't it? But get them out, get some fresh air.
That's it, absolutely. But with when I go fishing with my friends and family and so on, being young men growing up and so on, there's always a nice bit of banter, a bit of rivalry, who's going to catch the biggest fish, most fish, etc., and obviously a good amount of laughs. Do you get that with the younger generation? Can they have a
do I? Yeah. I'm actually the biggest kid on the block. Well, no, I'm the oldest kid on the block. But certainly not the biggest, that's for sure. At 5'8", I find most of the kids grow a lot taller than me very quickly these days, but there we go. There's always what like to do with the club side of it is set little. We have a competition, and we actually run the youth club in pretty much the same way as an adult club would. So we have competitions. There's points for the fish. There's prizes at the end of the year. We're actually keeping junior club record fish as well for all the different species, because it's something that kids can achieve rather than having to try and catch something that, the biggest bass, when the adults have been doing it for 100 years plus. They're starting from scratch and starting this all from nothing. So I think so far with Hastings, we've got 4 or 5 species on the board, which after a few weeks in bad going. With Bexhill, if my memory served me, I think we had 21 different species at the time. So yeah, it was pretty impressive going, and some of them were no small fish either. I think the biggest bass with Bexhill was 8.5 pound. Which, the young lad that caught it, he was 10 or 11 at the time, something like that. Fish of a lifetime at that age, really. So he won a lot of trophies for that in the club as well.
I know a lot of grown men who would give their right arm to get a fish like that.
My PB is only 7.5, so I'm one of those people. And I was stood next to him when he brought it in, so I couldn't have been happier for him.
Indeed.
Couldn't have been happier.
Yeah, no, that's lovely. So with the coaching, is there any plans for the future? Is there anything different coming out in the future with
Well, I do some stuff with the Angling Trust, and my sort of role with that is to organise bigger events to get people out and fishing. So we did, obviously that's all ceased last year, but the preceding year I had organised events, strangely both one in Hastings and one in Bexhill. And it was with the clubs themselves, and it was advertised to give a free fishing for, I think we had 3 2-hour sessions, and it was to invite people along, just come and try sea fishing. Most of them was for the first time. We supplied absolutely everything, completely free of charge. Get people down there, get them to have a look around the club and see if they wanted to join the club, if they were interested, get kids out, families out, the full Monty. And we had a maximum of 20 people per session. So the first one we had in Hastings was probably around about this time 2 years ago, as it happens. We were full. We had 60 people down there for the day. We had one of the lads back at the clubhouse showing them how to fillet fish, and we picked flounder for him to do, so nice and easy. And in Bexhill, which was 3 or 4 weeks later, it was Bexhill was a lot smaller town than Hastings. We were fully booked. We had 60 people, and we had so many people wanting to book. We had to do a second event a few weeks afterwards, and we'd actually cut down to 2 sessions because we found 3 was exhausting for the day. But we had, over the 2 sessions at Bexhill, we had 100 people come down. So that was pretty good. What my plans for last year with Angling Trust was to run similar sessions in any clubs that would help support it. Because what we were trying to do was boost club numbers and see if the clubs would run junior sessions on the back of it as well. But obviously, that's not panned out at the moment. We're waiting till we get the all clear to run again with that, which is highly unlikely to be this year now at this late stage. But what we do have is on the back of, I don't know if either yourself or some of the listeners have heard, there's a massive boat fishing competition going out of Northney Marina down Littlehampton Way.
Okay.
This year, I believe it's invitation only. Next year, they're looking to as a full open boat fishing competition. But whilst that's running, we're running free fishing coaching sessions in the harbour.
Wow.
I believe I think it's 2 sessions a day over a Saturday and a Sunday in July. Right. And we've got 20 people per session over that as well. So, apparently the fishing in the harbour's pretty good. There's a lot of small species and better than that, mullet, which I'm hoping to catch one for myself. I've never done it, so that'll be nice. But
what date is that?
Now you've caught me out with that one. I've got a feeling it's 25th and 26th of July.
Got you. Yeah.
If my memory serves me, but I'll the dates were they were fed to me a little while ago, and I'm sort of heavily involved in the organising of that at the moment. So
yes, yeah.
The adverts for that are just going out, so watch out, guys, in that area.
Yeah, if you when we find that out, I'll post it up on the Blind Angler Facebook page as well, and
I will get that information to you as soon as I can, Wayne. Thank you.
Yeah, lovely job. So, like you mentioned the Angling Trust there, and I know you do work for the Angling Trust. Can you give us a bit of information on what you do with the Angling Trust? And
my role really is, and it is a voluntary role that I do, but it is trying to get anybody out angling, regardless of age, basically. As I say, these events are something that I've organised. Got this one coming up at Northney, which I'm involved helping out with the organisation on, and that's, we're hoping to run that again in future years. That's the boat angling side of it's looking to be massive. That's the plan, and we hope to be able to do something spectacular on the back of it. What I would like to do is, and my plan is getting in touch with other clubs around the southeast, especially, or down the south coast, and see if we can't run some sessions with them, with their help. Most of the kit we can supply, so it's not as if the clubs have to supply the kit. What we would like the clubs to do is supply some help, because what we're trying to do is help them with their membership. And invariably, if there's any chance they could get somebody that wanted to set up a youth section as well, they will get as much help as I can possibly give them. Obviously, I've got some experience at doing that now. I've got a plan of how I set it up, and how the clubs that I've been involved in have been run by myself, and as I say, some incredible people that have helped with that. And you can't do it on your own. You do need that help. There's no doubt in my mind about that. But it's very, very doable. And I think one of the big things that made it successful was the amount of fun that we make sure people have, but also that we supply the kit. And most of the kit when we started was secondhand stuff. And other people may have junked it, I don't know, but we were very lucky. It was supplied to us. And as I say, when we started it was £2.50 a week, and it was literally to assist with getting in the replacement stuff, like stuff to make rigs, any damage to rods, which generally, it's relatively easy to fix anyway. And just getting kids out there and involved. And the Angling Trust itself would certainly assist with going through the coaching courses. And I know they do cost, and they're not cheap. I'll be honest and upfront about that, but there are generally some funds available to assist with that as well. So I would recommend, if anybody is vaguely interested in it and they would like to talk to me about it, please encourage them to get in touch with me.
Yes, for sure. We can sort out a link on the YouTube video and also on the Facebook page as well. Absolutely. What you're doing there, I think, is brilliant. There's a couple of lads out there that have done coaching that I would hope would agree that I've certainly helped them, and I would. It is hard work. It's time consuming, but what I get back from it, you can't get anywhere else. I just get that buzz of when I was 11 and 12 again, and that's difficult to do at my age, believe me. It really is. It really is a buzz. Yeah. Yeah, and the thing is, I think fishing is a great sport to do it. You can either do it on your own for a bit of peace and quiet. You can do it with your friends, your family. You can enjoy it. You can compete. But more than that, I think it's good for the soul. I think it's good for the mind. The world is in such a rush that when you're fishing, it seems like everything just slows down. And I think it really...
I think you've summed it up brilliantly, Wayne. Yeah, the number of people that have come to me just after lockdown, when we were allowed to go back out again. I think lockdown has made people reevaluate their lives. and they found there's more to life than just work, work, work.
Yeah.
And they thought again about, okay, I did a bit of fishing as a kid, don't really know what I'm doing. Let's find out. Let's do a bit. And that's a story that's been replicated so many times.
It is.
It's great. I just, helping people to do something I love doing, and you patently obviously love doing as well.
And do you still get to go out and enjoy the sport yourself? Do you get 5 minutes here and there to?
I can't remember the last time I actually went fishing, but I am hoping to get out this Saturday. One of the lads he was a client of mine. He's now a friend.
Yes.
Which I hope all my clients are friends. Actually, many of them keep in touch, which is really good. But he lives local, and we're hoping to get the boat out Saturday. That'd be nice.
That would be, wouldn't it? That would be. Hopefully, fingers crossed. The weather is
the weather looking good. The tide's looking good. Just got to get out there and do it now.
Yeah, perfect. Well, Brian, I just want to say a big thank you to yourself for coming on and doing the very first podcast on the Blind Angler.
It's been my pleasure.
It's been an absolute delight to have you, and you probably, I know for a fact that you've got some stories and so on, so we might have to do, I think we're going to have to do a part 2 with yourself.
You don't fish this long without getting the odd story. my wife's fed up with hearing them, so
Yeah, I think mine is as well, to be fair. But
we'll have to do our own live show then, mate.
I think. Well, I was thinking about maybe teaching a blind guy to pendulum cast could be quite an interesting.
Well, I think that's very possible.
I
think it's feel and touch.
Yes.
Because the bottom for me, and I've just done a video on pendulum casting last week.
Right. Okay.
One of my friends through Facebook, and he's got his own Facebook site and YouTube site, and that's Sea Fishing with CJ.
Yes, I know it.
We did part 1 of pendulum a couple of weeks ago, which was basically what I call, and I believe others do as well, called a half pendulum.
Yeah.
And then last week we actually did the video for the full pendulum, and he's currently editing that, and that should be out fairly shortly.
That'd be an interesting.
But it is because when you're actually doing the cast itself, you shouldn't be looking at where the lead's going. You want to be looking in the general direction of where it should be going. So your head position, regardless of, and I take your point about teaching somebody who's blind to do that, your head position is going to be very similar.
Yeah.
So it's that feel of the swing, and once you've got that feel of where it's going, I see no reason as to why not, because you're not looking at where your finger is when it comes off the spool or off the line. If you've got a fixed spool, that's feel and touch.
Yes, yeah, absolutely. So, well,
I'm up for that.
Watch this space, people.
Watch this space, but watch out for flying leads.
Exactly. Maybe a secluded beach somewhere.
Indeed, yeah.
Brian, just a massive, from the Blind Angler, thank you so much for coming on today, and it's been a great first interview, podcast, and a lovely chat. So thank you very, very much.
Absolutely my pleasure, Wayne. Thoroughly enjoyed talking to you. And we've got to do something again soon, by the sound of that.
Absolutely. So everybody that's listening, thank you for joining us. And until next time, stay safe and tight lines.